Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of Empowering You TV. I am so excited that you're here with us today. My name is Amy Hutton, and I'm your host for this show. I am now in Calgary, Alberta, yet I grew up in Pickering, Ontario, which is about 20 minutes east of Toronto. Each episode, you will hear remarkable stories of women who've beaten the odds, risen above all challenges, and are now living their amazing lives full on like the brave, empowered women they're born to be. For more information, to be featured on the Empowering You TV show, please reach out to me at amy@inchbyinchempowerment.com. I am booking into October, November, and even into December, so let's get your story out there before the end of the year. For today's show, I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Michele Gunderson. Michele and I met in 2012, sitting on her couch, talking about different things, and it was awesome. So we just remained friends, and I've gone to some of her coaching practice programs that she may talk about later. So she's a remarkable lady and a great friend, and I'm so excited that she's here. But to be formal, let me just read you a snapshot of her story. Dr. Michele Gunderson teaches visionary messengers how to tap into the secret power of story to catapult both their businesses and their lives. A best-selling author and former university instructor, Michele is known by many as the breakthrough story expert. She helps heart-centered entrepreneurs create empowering stories in every aspect of their businesses, from speaking and networking to managing a team to getting the words out. Her clients go from not knowing what they want to offer to creating 5 or 6 figure months in a business that they love. When you discover your own empowering story with Michele, you can learn to play more, have fun, and create profitable businesses and powerfully share your gifts to the world. Hi, Michele. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Amy. I'm doing great, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome. So I know where you are, but where are you in the world? Where do you live?
Where do I live? I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, but I like that question. Where am I? Right where I want to be. Right where I want to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, I know you've recently moved into sort of a neighborhood really close to where I am here, downtown-ish.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. I just could not be happier. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. I love it. So let's dive into some questions. What in your life have you overcome? Care to share your story briefly with us?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like you, Amy. I know something of your childhood story. So much happened to you from before you were born. And for me, and I could tell you that I had heart surgery when I was a kid, but it's not that. I could tell you about when I, skipped grade 4, and then the kids, some of them didn't like that very much when I got to grade 5. I could tell you about that. I have great parents, and I have a beautiful brother and a sister and a lovely extended family. I'm pretty lucky. And one of the biggest things, I guess, that I've overcome, lived through, moved through, got to the other side of, is just happened to me just over a year ago, when I got a note from my daughter's school saying that there's somebody who's threatening to use a gun at her school, and so parents be aware, but it's okay, they can still come. And I remember last year watching my daughter walk into that school, and I'm going like, I don't even know if my beautiful daughter, she's a breath I breathe, I don't even know if she's going to walk out alive. And that story, like this, the stress of that, the craziness of that, it's hard to describe. And then, the funny thing about life is it comes in the side door, right? She's fine. My man's talking to me just outside the school going, it's going to be okay. And I call him because he's the one who calms me down. He's the one who centers me. He's the one who helps me find my way. She walks out of the school. The next day I get the call from Dallas. He's down in Dallas. And I go, Shelley? No, it's Shelley's mom. Shelley's dead. So, Amy, like I find that life hits you in these funny ways. We think it's going to be over here, and it's not at all. And so the ripple effect of that, losing, I mean, he was my soulmate. He's my man. He'd do anything for me. He would have died for me and my daughter. And so what that means to step out into the world, envision the dreams, envision what you plan to do, and then all of a sudden, in a second, your life changes. There's been many things that have happened to me, but that was huge. That was huge.
Yeah, thank you, Michele. And I know Dana, and I did know Shelley, and your fabulous, lovely man from Dallas. He was pretty remarkable, and yeah, going through all that was pretty powerful. And I'm so glad that you're still here today, and you stuck through it, and everything. Shelley's not alive, but everything else is working out beautifully with everything else that's going on in your life. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the way you say that, Amy, is like, oh, we're here. Well, he's not here, but there's these other things, and I gotta stop you there for a minute because I don't. I don't experience it quite like that. Like there's this thing, but then there's that thing. Because as you know, I work with story, and for me, it's like, well, no, that thing that happened doesn't just get boxed off or compartmentalized or cut off. It actually, shifts everything else and can make for me, is like a dramatic shift that also, fueled everything and empowered everything in my life. And don't get me wrong, it's like some days in this last year, it's like, what am I doing on this planet? Really can't tell you, especially in the craziness of what had happened that week. First I lost my visa. My visa was stolen. Washing machine didn't work. All these daily strange, stupid things that then culminate in something so unexpected. But it's like, it's not that over there and this over here. Instead, it's like how he has fueled my life from the other side. All the speaking that I've done, I speak a lot. And the way my business has grown, I just feel his spirit with me, so deeply. And how, I went 2 days after, I know you know this, Amy, but those listening may not know, like 2 days after, I went to teach a week-long retreat for my people because I couldn't not be there. And so to find the strength to do that, to find the energy to do that, to be where I really want to be, like to know that we're given this life. He was 48 and healthy. He ate kale smoothies for breakfast, That touches all of those other areas in my life. So I had to stop you there because it's not like there's this and there's that. It's a whole interwoven web of that's how I see all our lives are always like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's, yeah.
And I know you know that from the work that you do too, right?
Yeah, because that sort of goes, because that the reason why I said it the way I did is because it kind of goes into the next question of, if you could change anything that you've experienced in your past, would there be anything you would change? If or and anything? Why or why not?
No, absolutely not. And that sounds strange. It's like some part of me wants to say, wow, if I could bring my man back, of course I would do that in a heartbeat. But I would not be the person that I am. This is the person that I am has lived through all of those other experiences that followed. It's made me this person, and I like who I am. It's like this scar that runs across my back from the heart surgery I had when I was 6. And I remember the party that I missed, the Valentine's. That's what I was bummed out about the most. I missed the Valentine's party at the hospital because my surgery was that day. They saved me a balloon, and it's like, well, what if I didn't have that scar running across my back? Yeah. What if my heart had been different? What if, but that's part of what makes me who I am. I remember my man loved that scar, It's like he used to say that's why you're on this planet. You wouldn't still be here without that. And so, I mean, it sounds almost like a cliche, but because I work with story, what's the thread of my life to hear? And all of those pieces, whether it's the 25 years that I spent with my ex, or the heart surgery, or the kids that were not always nice, or the every small piece, the challenges that my daughter runs across, watching my daughter walk in that school could have gone a different way. I bless all of it. I really do, Amy, because that's the jumping off point for today, for this next breath, for the rest of my life, and all of it, when I know how to use it, when I know how I live my life as a story,
Hmm.
I just need to know where I am in the story, and then can move from there. So I wouldn't change any of it. And there's been some crazy moments I've been terrified, moments I haven't told you about, moments of
Yeah.
insanity, and no, it's just a part of who I am.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. And I know many people answer that same way. And when I think to myself, would I change anything in my life? No. Yeah, there were some parts that were crappy and crazy, and you know, parts of my story, and it's just,
Okay.
yeah. Would I change any of it? If I could, maybe, but I'm fine with the way it is now. Like, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Yeah, and
So,
Amy, I call that with my students, my clients. I call that place that we don't want to get to. I have different language, different ways we talk about, but I call it the wall. It's like it feels like you're running up to something, and you're going at it at 90 miles an hour, and this big looming brick wall, and you're getting closer and closer, like holy shoot, and it's like, I can't do this. I can't get through this. And that's the very moment. And I found this over and over again with the clients that I work with, and in my own life, that is exactly the moment of power. That's exactly the moment of transformation. But it doesn't feel like work with story. Doesn't feel like a Hollywood movie. It feels like not good. It feels like it doesn't feel pretty. It feels like, no, really.
yeah.
This is the wrong turn, and I'm out of here. It reminds me of when I was giving birth to my daughter, and a friend of mine had told me, when you feel that moment where you go, I'm just out of here, like I'm not doing this. That's when the baby's about to be born, and I feel like, our lives are like that. I know mine has been.
Yeah.
That's the moment I need to pay attention.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So Michele, I actually don't know if I've actually asked you this question, so I'm curious for the answer. Is what's your why? Why do you do what you do today?
It's a really good question. It's a really good question, and the why. Well, my work that I do on this planet is about story,
Mm-hmm.
right? I help people to align their inner story with their outer story so that they can be heard, so they can get their message out, so they can get what they're meant to be doing in this planet done, and people will hear them.
Mm-hmm.
And that inner story, if it's not aligned, if it's going in one direction, what's going on inside me is going in one direction, and what I'm actually saying out there is in another direction, nothing moves.
Yeah.
Right? And so why do I do what I do around story? Well, story, my daughter is taking a calculus course right now. She just started university, and so proud of her. And in her calculus course, her calculus teacher asked her, what is calculus? And her answer was, calculus is the study of change. And math was my minor at university. It's like, that's true. It is, and I agree with that. But to me, it's story. Story is actually the science, the art, the technology, the understanding of how change happens. If you think of a story, it's like something happens to somebody. Mm-hmm. It's about change. And so if we are visionary messengers, if we are entrepreneurs, if you've got a gift to share, if there's something inside me that I'm meant to get out there, if I'm helping people change their lives by first changing my own, I need to understand how change works. And story, that's why I did my PhD in. That's what I've spent, 25 years, started over 25 years now, working in this field of words and stories, because that is the thing that tells us how we live those crazy moments, what we do with them, and how we can create our own lives. We live our lives like a story, how we can actually create the lives that we want. So my why, I get to watch people's lives change in front of me as I work with my clients. I get to see how my mission is to transform the life of the transformers. I work with leaders and see what's blocking them so they can get to the next level. The ripple effect of that on the planet, it's like there's no high like that.
Yeah.
To see that ripple effect. And then why do I do that? There's another piece of that why. I mentioned my daughter. I know you know my beautiful daughter. Mm-hmm. She's a breath I breathe. I would do anything for her. Mm-hmm. And even though I work with words, I've worked with word stories over 25 years, like I say, she's not going to hear what I say if it's not aligned. She's watching what I do. Can I be courageous enough to take that step? Can I do the thing that takes my breath away? Because it's like, oh, shh. But that's the thing that moves the needle. And if I do that, then I watch her leaping. I watch her taking a chance. I watch her risking. I watch her actually being alive and living her life. And that, I would die for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Michele. Thank you for that beautiful answer. And you touched on it already. So I know that your why goes into your business. Mm-hmm. So can you give us a snapshot of what your business is about and what do you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So to me, I mentioned, that I'm known by many as the breakthrough story expert, you said, right? And so I really am interested in that moment of profound transformation, right? And that story is the technology. Story is the thing that allows us to do that. We can have the best systems in the world. We can have the best structures in the world. But if we are not, if the story that's running us inside us is unconscious and we don't even know what's going on, we either tell a bad story of our life, or we're telling no story at all of our story and our life and our company and what we're doing in the world, or we're unconsciously in the wrong genre. You know what I mean by that is the genre is like the kind of story you're telling. So if you say, if you know anybody, Amy, if like people who say, well, it starts out well, but then. And you know what how the rest of the story goes, right? It goes downhill from there. And I was really excited, and that story gets ingrained. It's like those neural pathways go over and over and over again, and we don't even realize it's happening. And then it's like, the person who just keeps dating or marrying like the same person is like husband number 4 or wife number 4 or whatever it is, like the same person again. So how do we get out of those tracks and onto something that is truly new, so that I am not living life as a tragedy unconsciously, so that I'm also not living as what somebody else has told me about my story, whether it's a church or my neighbors or my parents or my friend, even well-meaning people, right? So why do I do what I do? To empower leaders, even if they're touching a lot of lives already. Mm-hmm. Those people go like, I know that I'm on purpose in my life, but I just know and people are telling me, I've got my team and I'm doing this, it's changing lives, but deep down, I know there could be so much more. Mm. I'm the catalyst for that more. And then I get to watch people, whether they're, feng shui expert, or they're a fitness trainer, or they're a writer or musician, or they teach sales, or I work with people who are really at the, sometimes I think like the far edge of the distribution curve. They have a fabulous talent, but sometimes they wouldn't even call themselves that. They wouldn't even say that, right? But they have something to give. Mm-hmm. I help them get it out there, and I help them dream bigger, instead of like aiming for the ceiling and hitting it. Mm-hmm. Like aim for the moon, land in the stars, really touch the lives they're meant to be touching. So why do I do that? Because stories are everywhere. That's how we're living, and we can change that. And that impacts, Amy, that has a global impact. Mm-hmm. How we change our lives, how we change our story changes our world. And I know you know that from the work that you do. You touch one life, and you've made a shift, and the world shifts, and we breathe differently, and we get up to a new day.
Yeah, totally. I know you do it through workshop base and through like private coaching and group coaching, and so it's really powerful what you do. It's awesome. It is so awesome. Now I know you have testimonials of people that both you and I know. So do you have a story of one of your clients or something you like to share about how they've changed from working with you?
Yeah. Boy, where do I start? I think where I want to start, because you talked about challenges, you asked, well, what obstacles have you had? Michele, what have you overcome? And I know sometimes people are sitting at that wrong part of the story, or it doesn't feels like it's the end. It feels like it's gone downhill. It's like, oh my God, like the moment of Shelley's death, like now what?
Yeah.
But to know that that's just the middle of the story. The story hasn't ended yet. Where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Right. And so one of my clients, she was at that point, it's like she had so much to give, and deeply talented in her field, and really out to transform lives. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, and we have this vision, and sometimes it's hard. And she's gotten to a place that she couldn't buy diapers for her kid. Like, how do you get your gift out there? You can't buy diapers for your kid, right? So I think I wanted to talk about her because we hit that moment sometimes. It's like, how am I supposed to change the world? I can't take care of my kid. And so as we worked together and found out what the stories were that were running that she didn't even know were running. Like, what's actually running the show? You have the best systems, you have the best structures, but what's running the show, and how can you transform that story? And as we started to work together, she's like, I've lost track, but it's like she's now those 6-figure months are just regular for her. Has not been that many months. And so to see that, and to me, like, the dollars, what they mean are, a dollar is just an energy. It's just a form of energy. There's a currency in our community to exchange energy. And so every dollar is a unit of life transformed. Right. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's money, like my other client who, was making a few $100s, and then just got in touch with me just this month. She had her first $48,000 month, I was like, these are huge leaps. Or my other client, Katie, who had these outrageous goals. Because sometimes, you dream. Some people dream and they think, yeah, but it's a pipe dream. It's not really going to happen, but I'll just talk about it. It's all words, nothing aligned. But Katie, she had these big dreams. These weren't small. I was like, okay, I'll find my soulmate. I've never, had made my living as a writer, but I'm just going to do that. And I don't know how to do it. I'm going to do that. It's like, this year I'm going to accomplish this and so many other things. She had a long list of outrageous goals. Mm-hmm. And then she met them all by March 1st. So she's like, then she had another challenge. It's like, Michele, now what? And I had another client that did that just last week. She was saying, same thing, Michele. I set those goals. I didn't really think, part of me didn't even think they were achievable. Now I've got them. And I said, don't tell people that. Like, be careful who you tell. Don't tell the dream stealers, right? Because they're going to go cry me a river, But what is it to actually dream big, reach that goal, and then take that as, instead of the ceiling, it's the floor. And now where can I reach to? So that, it's, whether it's, sometimes it's businesses opening, there's spin-off effects, but just talk with a spouse that I haven't had in 30 years before. And that's just commonplace in the world for my people, or, body, things that shift in the body. Because when our story is aligned, my client who really couldn't walk, she couldn't walk. Her back pain was so bad. She was on the highest painkillers. And when people saw her at another event, and she's up and, doing shoulder stands in the corner before we started the event, people don't know that just her walking is huge. And again, it wasn't even in work that we did with her body. It was about a story that she'd been hanging on to for 9 years that she didn't even know was there. And then she goes off to become the filmmaker that she's meant to be, award-winning filmmaker. Someone wasn't doing it before. Here's the dream. Now I'm envisioning it, and my body feels better too. So many stories, Amy. Those are a couple. It's why I love what I do, because I get to watch those lives change. Or, one of my students always envisioned being having her own concert, but always played backup. 30 years. Mm-hmm. Has her concert, moves people to tears, moves people, changes lives in the audience. It's just so many things open when you start to tap into a different story and actually enact it and live it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I don't even know what to tell you. Amy, I love my life. I love my life. Right?
You do. And I know a few of the people you were speaking about. So that's awesome.
Yeah, you get to see them. You get to. One of the things I love is just how people sometimes come to me, because one of my clients, people just come up to her and go like, they just see her, they see her and go like, your face has changed. Like something about you has changed. So some people end up working with me. I was like, what is that? This change, whatever it is, I want some of that. And it's like, so just watching people starting to look 10 years younger sometimes, and the lightness in them, and then what they're able to do of that dream on this planet. Like I say, I get up in the morning and I'm just like, I bless my life and I bless the people in it. I get to work with the people that I choose to work with, who are really making a difference on this planet, you know. And I want to say too, whether you're making a difference, you know, to those who are here listening with us, watching us, thank you for being here. And you know, whether you're making that difference, you're a sales trainer, or you're doing your job, or you're raising your kids, or whatever it is that you're passionate about, tap into that, you know, because it matters.
Yeah.
It matters. Yeah.
Awesome. Now let's switch our questions a tiny bit, Michele. How do you stay empowered in your life?
How do I stay empowered in my life? You said switch it up, but I don't see any switch there, Amy. For me, there's no switch. We're learning everything about the story. I mean, that's why I did the PhD on it. That's why I used to teach it at the university. That's why I work with the entrepreneurs that I do. That's why I'm so close to my daughter. And she's 18 now, and we're closer than any other mother and daughter that I know. And her friends are close to their moms, you know? And it's like, well, how does that happen? How do I stay empowered? With learning everything that I can about the nuance of how stories work, right? Where do they turn? How do I include the pieces that I don't think I want as part of my story, like your question earlier? No, I want to include everything. How do I find out what to do in that moment that feels like despair? Story teaches us about that. So I learn about story. I teach people about story. I teach the things that I know move the needle the most, and they all in some way have something to do with creating a more empowering story, and then actually living it. So I mean, that's how I do it. I mean, there are many other things I could say about that, but that's always at the core. It's not different from me at all. It's that.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting question then, Michele. Do you have a book, a movie, a song that empowers you to keep going in your own life?
Oh, many, many, many of them. When people ask for a book recommendation, I'm like, oh, well, I have this many shelves left. I've gotten rid of, 98% of the books that I've owned. And it's I'm a book junkie, and I love movies. I watch them, so I could answer 1,000 different things, but oh my God, I love, oh my goodness. I love the movie Princess Bride. I watched it when I first started teaching many years ago, over 25 years ago, and I'd watch it over and over and over again. We could rent it at that time. I'll tell a little bit about my age right here. It's like we rented it, VHS for $1 many, many years ago. We kept renting it, and because that movie tells us. I mean, it's just a fun romp. It's comedy, it makes us laugh. Laughter is good, but it tells us so much about the story. Too. In fact, so much I told my students I was going to do a special Princess Bride theme. When I was teaching university, I taught Harry Potter. I love that too, to teach people some really important things about their lives. I use Harry Potter. But Princess Bride, there's this moment where the hero is, it looks like he's in the pit, literally called the pit of despair, right? But it's funny, it's light so we can hear it. And then the frame story is a grandpa reading to the grandson. So we're getting that, and then we're engaged in the story, right? So it understands about story. And at the point when there's a moment when the grandpa says he's dead, right? And this is very real in our lives. People die, we lose people, right? But the kid is hooked on the story. So the hero's and the story stops because the child goes, he's dead. What do you mean, Grandpa, he's dead? Wesley's only faking, right? It's like, no, he's dead, right? And I'll tell you, the story works out in the end. I'm not going to do a spoiler. A lot of people have seen Princess Bride. If you haven't, go watch it, right? Yeah. But he says, no, he's dead. Well, then what happens to the bad guy? Well, he lives. He's like, Jesus, Grandpa, what did you read me this story for? And then sometimes our lives feel like that, Like, not this story, not this path, or like when I was, just about to deliver my daughter. It's like, I'm out of here. I can't do this. How do We hit that wall. And that show, it's funny, it's fun. And when we learn something about just a little bit about story and have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, it can teach us about how we live through that moment at the pit of despair and how we can take in the different elements of what's happening. And actually, I love the hero, the man in black, his attitude as they're coming into the it's just like this evil looking forest, right? And it's the only place that they have to hide from the bad guys. And his princess beside him is nervous and worried. He's not very good on gender sometimes, although she's tough in her own ways, right? But she says, Wesley, yeah, we can't go in there because we'll never survive. He says, nonsense. You're only saying that because nobody ever has. Right? So his confidence, his ability to move forward, the laughter in it. What do we do? How do we create the story of our lives? I just think it's a wonderful romp and a great book, and much to learn when we've got the right eyes to see, like I say.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting question, too, because you sort of almost touched on it already in the answer with The Princess Bride. But what is one simple step that our viewers can do today to empower themselves?
Well, okay. Well, learn about story. That one's obvious. I've said that already, so I'll say something else instead because I got to say that, right? Understand that there are stories everywhere. We're telling stories right now. When we tell different versions of the story too. Think about the first time. Is it okay if I just kind of go to something personal?
Yeah.
Emily? That's Emily. Oh my goodness, Amy. Since we were on a three-way email earlier today, right? So if we think about, you can close your eyes for a minute. Those who are listening, and think about. Okay, I'm just going to say, is it okay? The first time you made love, all right? And now think about the story that you told your best friend about that. Now think about the story you told that lover. Now think about the story you told or would tell your grandmother. They're different stories, right? I would think, right? So life is lived as a story. What story is it that you want to tell? And then I want to give one other tip too that's different but complementary. And this is something that for the clients that I work with, I mentioned some of them, there's like so many breakthroughs for them. And this is one thing that I tell them over and over again at different times. You come in this way, we come in that way, because I really want them to hear this piece, how you start your day. Part of how I get people to a more empowering story. So there's my background in stories, what my PhD is in, it's what I've worked with for many, many years. But also, this part of my background. Amy, I'm also an Iyengar yoga teacher, so trained for many, many years. It's a very strong path. And what it does is, for our purposes today, you could say that it creates a cleaner slate because we've got this accumulation of all of these other stories that are messing up our minds, that are making us tired, that we can't be on purpose in our lives. So I tell people, if you've done yoga before, great. You know how you lie down at the end of class, Shavasana, final relaxation pose? When you roll out of bed in the morning, start there. Roll out of bed, lie on the floor for 10 minutes and breathe. If you haven't been to a yoga class before, it's what I just said. That's it. Mm-hmm. Just watch your breath. And why do I suggest that? At that moment when we've just woken up, all those stories aren't running in that moment. Sometimes they come in the microseconds and we don't even notice that we pick up where we left off the night before. You haven't slept because there's all these things, right? But we have this space. We have this possibility for something new. And even the present is just old news. It's just the accumulation of what's, sometimes we get present, but it's the accumulation of all those things that have happened before, right? So if I can take that time, connect with my breath, find a clean slate, I've just given myself the possibility for a whole new story. And it can happen so very quickly. So reset, 5 minutes. Start there. Do it for a week. 5 minutes. You'll gain time. You'll gain energy. You'll gain that 5 minutes back and so much more. And watch your life change. So there's one thing.
One thing. I love it. That's awesome. That's a good tip. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I should give that a go.
Yeah, excellent. So glad, right?
Yeah. Now, Michele, what is a message you would want to tell the next generation of girls about empowering themselves? For example, if you could go back in time and tell your 11-year-old self something, what would that be?
Hmm. And I'll say it like this. Hey, Michele. Or hey, Amy. Or hey, Emily. I feel like I used to watch, was it a Romper Room, and they would hold up this magic mirror. It's like, I see you. And I would always wait for my name, right? So I really want to say like 100 names. I want to say your name. And when it was like, you're watching this, so you fill in your name. But for me, I'm thinking like, hey, Michele. And that 11-year-old, we don't need to talk in these kind of grown-up language, and yet grown-up language is fine too. That's one of the things I loved about my mom. When I was 6, she would talk to me like I was an adult. Mm-hmm. And she knew that I could understand. And so I've always talked to my daughter too. I would speak to them at the highest level. That's what good stories do too. It's like, here's the highest of who we are, it's not something different from who you are. It's who you are inside. So here's what I want to say. Your story matters. Your story matters. Because who you are matters. And I know you feel different from the others. I know that sometimes the kids aren't nice. I know that sometimes you've done things that make you feel bad, and you rehearse that story in your mind because you think, oh my God, the kids are going to think this, and now they're saying that, and if only I were different, if only I could do these things, if only I could jump higher, or do better on that test, or not have said that thing. There's nothing wrong with who you are. You are perfect. You are brilliant. You have such power inside you, but don't think about that. Don't worry about that, because sometimes then you'll go, oh my goodness, I got to do that. Oh no, I'm not doing that. So have some fun. What do you love? Do that. Trust that. Don't share your story with the dream stealers. Those ones who want you to be that person, and you're trying to be that person sometimes for them. Yeah, don't need to share your story with them because they can't hear you. But those dream enablers, the ones, the people that you like, but you're afraid to tell, because if you show them that part of you, they won't listen to you anymore, and they might not be your friend, and then you're going to be alone. Well, it's okay. You can tell them. They will hear you. And when you have the courage to tell them, and it's courage, but it's not courage, it's just be, it's okay. Right? Just start to tell them one piece of who you really are. And when they see that, they might be less afraid too, and they might tell you one more piece of who they are. Your story matters. You matter. Your story connects you with somebody else, and that thing that you think is so weird about you, when you dare to breathe that story, you're going to find more people around you than you know who are feeling just like you but are too scared to say it. Don't be afraid to share your story with those people, because everything comes from sharing our stories. Everything comes when we dare to say who we are truly. And from that, the world changes. But don't think about that. You live your life. You be with those people that you love. You dare to say it. And that's when the fun begins.
Cool. That's awesome. That's really good. People, replay that and listen to it again, because I think I'm going to be doing that. That's awesome.
It's for the 11-year-old. It's for the 11-year-old in each one of us.
Yeah.
I want to play that for myself every morning. Like start at Shavasana, and then that is an empowering story.
Yeah. That's
play
awesome.
that. begin your day there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Michele, who is someone you want to thank, who inspires you to be your best self, who's helped you when going through a difficult time? If you could write a thank you card to that person, what would it say, and who is that person?
There's so many people I'm grateful to in my life. But I would write to the Dalai Lama. I would write to the Dalai Lama because sometimes in some really challenging times, I think of when my daughter was, when you say, what have you overcome? And there's so many things. When Dana was little and I was with her dad at that time. And we were meant to live together for a while, but not a lifetime. And we went through some challenging times. And I think of the time when, his father was dying painfully of leukemia, and they were so close. And we had a little daughter, and I'm working on my PhD. And then, a little while later, then he lost his job. And so then, and then I start my business, and then my income when I started is negative, and he doesn't have a job. And it's like, what do you do? Right. And in those times, I used to think about the Dalai Lama. I still do. And I would think, with everything that's going on, if the Dalai Lama were here, the Dalai Lama wouldn't be unhappy. The Dalai Lama wouldn't have a problem. The Dalai Lama wouldn't get angry. The Dalai Lama wouldn't think that there's too much going on. The Dalai Lama wouldn't be overwhelmed. I think he's human, but it's like these things pass through him in a second. That's my image of the Dalai Lama anyway, right? So the Dalai Lama changed my life because of this thought process. Well, what would the Dalai Lama do here? Mm-hmm. And if there's whatever that other person's doing that's bugging me, whether it's my little daughter or my ex, not ex at the time, or the friend who is there or isn't there, or my parents, or whatever it is, people around us, when they bug us, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I can't change that person. What is it inside me? And from the yoga tradition, it's like sausha. It means like cleanliness. Not cleanliness. You should have seen my room when I was a kid. Are you kidding? Like, why is that a virtue? I don't get it. But I think of it like an internal vacuum cleaner, right? Mm-hmm. Can I clean all that gunk out? And that image of the Dalai Lama, I feel like sometimes saved my life because it's like, well, I can't change that person, whoever it is bugging me at the moment. What can I shift in me? And that began the trail of, what's an empowering story, mm-hmm. right? And what would I say to the Dalai Lama? I would say in that letter, thank you for your alignment. Thank you for your peace. Thank you for being such a light on this planet and in my life. Thank you for helping me understand when you said, when a reporter said to you, don't you hate the Chinese? Look what they've done to the Tibetan people. And look don't you hate them? Don't you want to do something? But don't you want to, It's like, why would I do that? So much has been taken from the Tibetan people, then why would I have them take my mind? That makes no sense. So to return challenges with blessings, to be that filled with love, to show the way to an empowering story, and to live through unbelievable odds, to lose everything, to walk so many miles on foot, and to be such a leader and a light. Thank you for shifting the needle of this planet and changing my life personally, although we've never met. Mm-hmm. And please continue to do what you do, because it changes this planet every day.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's cool. You're the first person out of everybody I've interviewed who would be writing to somebody they don't actually physically know in person. That's really cool. Thank you, thank you. Michele, what is something coming up that our viewers should know about? Like, I know we got something coming on the end of October. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
what's coming up that our viewers need to know about?
Well, I am going to be in the mountains in the beautiful Rockies. And we maybe get to spend 3 days together, which I'm thrilled about, because I'm teaching my 3-day Story Freedom event. And I am so thrilled about it. Story Freedom is, well, like everything we've been talking about, like those, those are kind of examples, I guess, of what it is to live an empowering story, and to actually let stories make you free. So we do a 3-day deep dive. Many people ask me, can they come teach? Can they come help? Can they come speak? And I have amazing friends who, putting them on that stage just for a few moments could bring such light to people's lives. And yet I'm also very selfish, I gotta say, Amy, because I so care about people hearing this message about what it really is to live an empowering story in your business, in your life, for your message, for what you do. That in that event, I just teach. I'm there to teach. I'm there to serve. And I have not had the opportunity to teach this since it was a few months before my man died. Mm-hmm. The last time, it's been 1.5 years since I last taught Story Freedom, and I've lived many lifetimes since then. So much has happened in my own business and my life. My daughter started university, had my first 6-figure month in my business, which is super exciting. That's just about energy going out there in the world, the people that I'm serving, helping people to understand what it is to do that in their lives. And just so many more profound leaders that I am working with, that I know who's already going to be in that room. I cannot wait to be there. I want to be in the presence of the people. You are one of those people, Amy. I know who's going to be in the room, and I cannot wait to be there. A number of the people I was talking about will be there. So many other people are flying in from across the continent to be there. Super, super excited about that. October 26th to 28th in the Rockies. That's what's on my radar right now.
Yeah, that is. Now, we talked about dreams earlier. So what's next, Michele? Or what's another intention that you've set for yourself?
Another intention that I set for myself. That's the one that's a little ways off into the future. And where I am right now is right here and now. My daughter just started university, and I'm so, my beautiful daughter, I'm so proud of her. She went into neuroscience. It's okay if I boast about my daughter just a little bit. I'm just so proud of her. I know you know this already, Amy, but let me see, can I tell this? I'm just going to do it. She needed a 95 average to get in. She just, she had to ace her math test to get in there. She just she got a pile of scholarships. I'm just so proud of her. She had to work so hard, and then also dream big, and then also know what it is to stay aligned in moments of challenge, like when she couldn't sleep the whole night before her math final, and ace the course anyway. And just so, what's my aim? I'm looking actually right here immediately where I am. I'm a big, I dream big, and I've got all kinds of things going on. But the first response that comes up is that I'm here to be in service to my beautiful daughter as she makes her beautiful leap into a phenomenal community at the university, and to really enable her to just be like what I do for my daughter, I do for my people, right? Hold space for her so that she knows that this is just the first step on that gigantic dream of hers. So what's on my horizon? Holding space for another, in this case, my beautiful, beautiful daughter.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Now, Michele, we talked earlier before we came live to the show about how the best way to contact you. So How about you share that with us?
Yeah, happy to, Amy. So we've been talking about what it is to live and breathe and actually enact an empowering story. You know that's like so much. I've dedicated, the last 25 years of my life and really more to that aim. And so best place to go is over to my website at michelegunderson.com, spelled just with one L. MicheleGunderson, right? So michelegunderson.com, and you'll find it's there. It's my free gift to your viewers, the people who are here with us. Thank you for staying here with us, and it's my ebook, Anatomy of an Empowering Story. And I had a disempowering story about this before, Amy. I used to think that, I've spent 25 years of my life doing this, wrote my PhD on it, taught it at the university, and I was like, and there are people that I work with, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years on this journey. It's like my own disempowering story was that how can I transmit what this is? How can I hold space for people in a few pages when I'm not even there beside them to help them understand and live and breathe what it is to actually create that empowering story for yourself? What's the worst mistake people make? How do you get through that? And how do you actually set the foundation to actually live that? University, sometimes there's this bunch of head knowledge, so not interested to live and breathe it. And so my ebook, it's called Anatomy of an Empowering Story. When you go over to michelegunderson.com, you can download that. It's short. I don't even remember. It's like 15 pages, something like that. And I was just talking to somebody just before this call. She was just we don't know each other very well, but we're just starting to get to know each other. She read it, and she read it again. Then she spent an hour and a half reading it. It won't take you an hour and a half to read it. But she said, Michele, I read it and read it and read it over. She said, this is your masterpiece. This is your work that you do. This changed my life, right? So that's my gift to your viewers, my gift to you, Amy, because I adore what you do. You know that I love you and who you are and what you do on this planet, and so that's my gift. That's my like I say, I got through my own disempowering story to go, no, people will hear it, they will get it, and they will be able to enact this, and they will see, oh, don't make this mistake, please, right? And it go, what are the where does this story touch us, and how do we start to align that story so that it actually moves things in our lives? So michelegunderson.com, go grab that ebook, and then send me a note. There's a contact page there. Send me a note. Tell me what resonated for you. I would love to hear from you. All right, what meant the most to you? Because I love hearing those stories. People write back to me all the time. So that's the best place to go, Amy.
That's cool. Thank you, Michele. And we've actually come to the end. So thank you for being on our show. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you want to share with our viewers before we say farewell?
Go and listen to what I tell the 11-year-old, because that's what I would tell you too. Your story matters, and you can change it. And we live in a world of stories. You can change that story today, and there's nothing wrong with the story that you've lived until now. It is perfect. When you can bless that story, bless the places that you've been, actually, really, truly, not like happy face on an empty gas gauge. Find the pieces of it that you can bless. Send that blessing back to your past self. Then you can envision a whole different future, and you can live that empowering story today. Your story matters. So live that, breathe that, know that your empowering story is already inside you. Find the tools to let it out, to create the life that you are. That's your birthright. That's what it is. It's your birthright.
Cool. Thank you, Michele. Thank you. Just hang on just a couple seconds, couple minutes, and I'll talk to you in a minute. So thank you. Thank you again, Michele.
Thank you, Amy. It's been my pleasure. So great to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. So everyone, we've come to the end of our show. And if you want to be featured on Empowering You TV, just like our friend Michele here today, then reach out to me. I would love to feature you on the show and spread your message on a global scale. Currently, I am booking, as I said, October, November, and beyond into the end of 2017. I would love to feature you. Remember, inch by inch, you can overcome any challenge that is in front of you. I do believe in you, and I know you can get through anything. Until next time, be brave, be bold, and be yourself. Bye.